All right, today we're going on a journey through the entire life of a product, from that first little spark of an idea all the way to its final impact. And what's our guide on this trip? Analytics. We're going to see how data is basically the nervous system that brings a product to life. So let's jump right in. To really get why this is such a game changer, you have to look at the before and after. Not too long ago, product management was all about intuition, about gut feel. You'd make these big decisions and then you'd wait, maybe for months until a quarterly report landed on your desk to see if you were right. But now, it's a completely different world. It's all about evidence, validation, and getting that data in real time. This massive shift from reacting to the past to proactively shaping the future, that's what this is all about. So let's start by digging into the problem this new way of thinking actually solves. I want you to imagine you're the captain of a giant ship. But here's the catch. You can only see the wake behind you, not the ocean in front of you. Kind of scary, right?
Well, for a long time, that was just the reality of the job. The only real feedback you got were these things called lagging indicators. Stuff like revenue that told you about the success or failure of choices you made a whole quarter ago. The amount of risk there is just massive. You're basically betting the company's resources on instinct, with your fingers crossed, and you have no way to course correct until it's way, way too late.
But what if you could give your product a way to feel, to sense and respond to its environment in real time? That's exactly where analytics comes in. And trust me, it is so much more than just a reporting tool. This metaphor is just perfect. Think about it. Your nervous system doesn't just tell you, hey, you burned your hand a minute ago. No, it gives you that instant, real-time feedback to pull your hand away from the fire before you get seriously burnt. And that's exactly what modern analytics does for a product. It's this constant, intelligent feedback loop that lets you adjust on the fly.
So to see this nervous system in action, we're going to follow a product through these 5 distinct stages of its life. Now, each stage has its own unique goals, its own challenges, and most importantly, it has its own set of analytical questions we need to be asking. Think of this as our roadmap for the next few minutes.
Okay, let's dive in at the very beginning. This is that exciting, fuzzy stage where a vague idea starts to become a real, tangible product. And maybe more importantly, it's where analytics helps us avoid building something that absolutely nobody wants.
In this first stage, ideation, analytics is all about one thing: killing uncertainty. Before we even think about writing a single line of production code, we can use data to get answers to some pretty crucial questions. Like, is this market even big enough to bother with? Do people get our solution? We can even spin up simple landing pages to see if anyone will sign up for a product that doesn't even exist yet. The mantra here: validate before you build.
Now, as we move from just an idea to a full-on launch, our number one goal is to achieve this incredible milestone: product market fit. It's that magic moment when you know you've built something people genuinely want, something they can't live without. So how do you know if you have it? Well, there's a quick test. Ask your users how they'd feel if your product just vanished tomorrow. If less than 40% say they'd be very disappointed, you're not there yet. Finding this fit is the key that unlocks, everything that comes next. The moment we launch, that nervous system goes into absolute overdrive. We are done guessing, we are now observing real people doing real things. We're tracking every single step of the adoption funnel to see exactly where people are dropping off. We use cohort analysis, which is really just grouping users by when they signed up, to see if the changes we're making are actually making the product stickier. And this is where that real-time data just sings. We can A/B test everything, from button colors to headlines, to constantly iterate and improve. So we've found that elusive product market fit, and now it's time to step on the gas. But of course, with insane growth comes a whole new set of challenges, which is then followed by that inevitable phase of just stabilizing. During the pure chaos of rapid growth, it is so easy to get distracted by shiny objects. That's why the really smart companies identify what's called a North Star metric. For a social network, it might be daily active users. For an e-commerce site, maybe it's the number of purchases. This isn't just a number on a dashboard. It's the guiding light, the one thing that focuses the entire company, from engineering to marketing, on delivering what truly matters. Okay, so with our North Star defined, our analytics makes a big shift. We move from validation to what I'd call ruthless optimization. We're not just asking, does this work anymore? Now we're asking, how do we make this work 10 times better? We dig into which marketing channels bring us not just any users, but the valuable users, the ones who stick around. We even calculate our viral coefficient. That is, for every user we get, how many new users did they bring with them? And we obsess over retention because, let's be real, acquiring new users is totally pointless if you can't keep the ones you already have.
And as a product starts to mature, this is a really crucial distinction to get your head around. Lagging indicators, like last quarter's revenue, well, they're telling you a story that's already over. But leading indicators, things like the engagement level of new trial users, they give you a sneak peek into the next chapter, and that allows you to edit it before it's even written. In a mature market, being able to act on leading indicators isn't just an advantage, it's about survival.
So what happens when growth inevitably slows down and the market is pretty much saturated? Well, the game changes. It's a whole different ballgame. The focus shifts from grabbing new users to keeping the ones you have and maximizing profitability. Analytics becomes about playing defense. We're using predictive models to figure out who's at risk of leaving before they actually pack their bags. We measure loyalty with things like the Net Promoter Score. That question, how likely are you to recommend us? And we squeeze every last bit of efficiency out of the business to pump up those profit margins.
Look, every product, no matter how amazing or successful, eventually faces its final chapter. It's just a fact of life. But even here, when things are winding down, data is still your best friend. It can turn a potential crisis into a well-managed, graceful transition.
So in this decline stage, analytics helps us answer some really tough questions, but it does it with objectivity. First step, is this really the end, or is this just a temporary dip? The data will tell you. If it really is a decline, we can use data to find which small pockets of users are still profitable to serve. And if we're moving people to a new product, we can track that migration success rate obsessively to make sure the end is graceful and not just a chaotic mess. Whew! We've gone through the entire life cycle from birth to sunset. So how do you actually put all of this into practice? Well, it all comes down to a really clear, simple three-step workflow. First, you have to be brutally honest with yourself about which stage you're in. Look at the data. It'll tell you the truth. Second, define what success actually looks like for that specific stage and focus only on those metrics. Don't measure your tiny startup with the same yardstick you'd use for a massive enterprise product. And finally, and this might be the most critical point of all, start tracking everything from day one. You can't go back in time to capture data you forgot to collect. It's just impossible. And that really brings us to our final thought. This is the one question that separates the old way of thinking from the new. Using analytics isn't just about building pretty dashboards that tell you what already happened. It's about building that nervous system for your product, letting it sense, respond, and actively shape its own future. So I'll leave you with this. Is your data just looking in the rearview mirror, or is it helping you steer?